Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 12th of August. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to discuss the report of Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation. They gave us new numbers. The Ukrainian losses are very high. As a result of the Russians' attack during the previous 24 hours, they attacked these 28th mechanized brigade, and this brigade lost around 100 soldiers and up to 9 armored vehicles. Another important update are coming from the Donetsk, from the capital of DPR, from this 56th mechanized brigade. This brigade is responsible for the area between Nivoyska. This is the border of responsibilities. Nivoyska is the border. On the northeast from this town is the area of responsibility of this brigade, and everything that on the south and west-south from Nivoyska is the area of responsibility of 54th Mechanized Brigade. So as a result of attack, this 56th Mechanized Brigade lost in the area between Nivoyska towards Opotne, this Ark, this Opotne, this Nivoyska, this area located on the north from the west till the south on the north of Peski. And as a result of that attack, this brigade lost up to 70% of its infantry. If you remember, yesterday we discussed how the Russians were using their flamethrower system on the north of Peski. So that was the part of that attack, of those attacks that the Russians were trying to do during the previous, that the Russians did during the previous week. And as a result of the attack, this 56th Brigade lost up to 70% of infantry. So we can say that the entire north of Peski has been collapsed, and I suppose that soon the Russians are going to crack this nut and move further. Another important update are coming from the area of Gorlovka. Let's take a look at the Russian sources map. This South Gorlovka, this Zaitsevo, this New York agglomeration. The Russians attacked this 58th Mechanized Brigade that located in Gorlovka. And as a result of that attack, in Zaitsevo, you see this Gorlovka, Zaitsevo. And as a result of that attack, this brigade lost up to 40 soldiers and up to 5 armored vehicles. And another important update are coming from Marinka. This is also the Donetsk area, this Marinka. Marinka is under protection of National Battalion. On this map, this is the Donbass National Battalion and 66th Mechanized Brigade, but if you take a look at this map, you won't see this brigade on this map, so I suppose that there are some kind of few battalions of this group in this area or something like this. To be more precise, there are 3rd Battalion number 3 in this area that belongs to 66th Mechanized Brigade. And as a result of heavy clashes in Marinka, because we know that the Russians are trying to push this area, this battalion lost also up to 50% of its infantry. So as you can see, that the north of Donetsk has almost completely defeated. So let's see and wait a little bit, and I suppose that soon this story is going to end. But this is very important updates, of course, but the most important updates are coming from this area, from Energodar, from this nuclear power plant. We discussed this power plant many times. This one, on this map, it's better to see this nuclear power plant. You see this it's the biggest nuclear power plant in Europe. It's a very big power plant. And this power plant is under Russian control, as you can see this red color. But the thing is that till these days, this nuclear power plant was connected to the Ukrainian energy system, and the Ukrainians were receiving electricity from this power plant. But these days, the Russians decided to disconnect this power plant from the Ukrainians and to connect this power plant to the Russian energy system. And they were trying to do this during the previous weeks. They brought a lot of engineering constructions to connect this power plant with Crimea, with south of Ukraine. And of course, we understand that this is the biggest power plant, and by cutting this power plant from entire Ukraine, it will cause a lot of damage to the Ukrainian infrastructure for their energy system, and for any other things that in Ukraine, for their economy as well, because the Ukrainians were selling this energy to Europe even at the period of time when this power plant was under Russian control during these days. So this is the reason why the Ukrainians started shelling this area, and they're attacking using artillery this power plant, nuclear power plant. And of course, it's very dangerous. We understand that it's very difficult to destroy the reactor, but you are able to get, as we discussed yesterday, the warehouse of nuclear things and of refrigerator. And this situation can cause damage. And today, the Russians, Putin, the president of Russian Federation, made extra meeting with his people, and that was the meeting, and according to Putin's words, that was the meeting of the urgent meeting of national security. And we understand that this meeting was about this power plant. If the Ukrainians are able to do something with this power plant, and if this power plant detonates, you need to understand that this entire south of Ukraine will be the zone where the people are not able to continue living. We can calculate a different distance, but I suppose that the people from Kherson, from Zaporozhye, from Dnipro, from Melitopol, from all this area will be forced to leave this territory because it will be impossible to live there in this area. Furthermore, with this, the Ukrainians will be able, let's say, to create a buffer zone between Ukraine and the Russian forces in the south. And of course, nobody will be able to cross this area, this poisoned, this nuclear polluted area, to attack the Ukrainians from the south. So that's why these days the vice president of national security, Soviet national security, Russian Federation, Medvedev, announced that this is not the only one nuclear power plant in Europe. And he told that if the Ukrainians would do any damage to this power plant, then maybe something is going to happen with the rest nuclear power plants in Europe. He wasn't talking about the power plants that is located in Europe. He was talking about the other 3 nuclear power plants that are located in Ukraine. If we are not talking about this Zaporozhye power plant, there are 3 power plants in Ukraine. The South Ukrainian power plant, this one. It's like this map, you're going to see this power plant. This power plant is located on the north of Nikolaev and the north of Odessa. If you remember, at the beginning of this special military operation, the Russians managed to got even towards Voznesensk, and the Russian forces were here. But the Ukrainians, they managed to stop the Russian invasion, and they stopped the Russians on near town by the name of Voznesensk. So that was the only thing that stopped the Russians, and they couldn't enter this Ukrainian nuclear power plant because they was, as you can see, very close. After that, the Russians decided to retreat because the Ukrainians started mobilization, they started fighting, and of course, to stretch the front line in the south was very dangerous because there weren't much battalions here. So that's why the Russians decided to retreat and to establish their position bridgehead on this side of Dnipro River near Kherson. Another power plant is located on the north, near Rovno, on the north of Ukraine. This is town Varash, this one, and this is the first nuclear power plant in Ukraine. It's a very old power plant with old technology, but anyway, this is a power plant that's located on the west side of Ukraine. And another power plant is located a little bit to the south from this area. This is this one. This power plant, Khmelnytskaya power plant, this one. This is the second power plant in Ukraine after the power plant that is under Russian control. So as you can see, both these 2 power plants is located on the west side of Ukraine. So I suppose that we can understand the words of Vice President of National Security Soviet of Russian Federation that if something is going to happen with this power plant, maybe something is going to happen with these power plants that are located on the west. And of course, we need to understand that the power plant is a very dangerous thing, but more dangerous thing is the destination of the wind. For example, if the wind blows to the east side, that means that if any of this power plant will be destroyed, that means that all the bad things, pollution, is going to will move to the east side, to the Russia or to Belarus. But if the wind, let's say, blows to the west, to the territory of Poland or to the territory of Romania, that means that all the radiation is going to go to the Europe, and we understand that it's not very difficult to calculate when the wind blows in this or that direction. So the situation with this power plant is very critical, and I suppose that everybody should stop and not to continue this shelling. But the thing is, if you remember, the Ukrainians announced a few days ago that they are going to do evacuation, and they told from Donetsk district, from this area, from let's just show it, from the area that located on the right side of this arrow. And they told us that they are planning to do this evacuation because of the fact that they don't have possibility, and they don't understand how they're going to give hot water during the winter period, during the upcoming winter period. So that's why this is the reason why they decided to move people from this area. Later these days, they announced that the Ukrainians are planning to spread the evacuation area and evacuate not the forces and people from Donetsk district, but also from Zaporozhye and from Nikolaev. And today we got to report that the Ukrainians ordered to start evacuation from Nikolaev of military objects, of administration, of military centers where people are recruited and so on, from Nikolaev, from Zaporozhye, from Kryvyi Rih, from this area. And this is the closest town to this power plant. So maybe the Ukrainians are planning to do something, or maybe this is another psycho war. If you remember, the Ukrainians announced that they're planning to start some offensive operation in the south that forced the Russians to move some battalions there, but after that they cancelled any kind of operation. So maybe this is the same thing. They're trying to force the Russians to do mistakes, who knows. But anyways, I see there is a result of this psycho war, of this mental war, we can say. So let's follow and see the situation, because the situation is very dangerous, very dangerous. Now let's talk about the front lines, about the changes. If we're talking about the area from Mariinka towards Avdiivka, there is no changes. The Russians are cracking this nut. The Ukrainians have a very big losses, and I don't think how are they planning to protect or keep this area under their control. If we're talking about the area from Sievers towards Bakhmut, there is a progress in this area. As you can see, the West sources map is not updated. Today I got a report from some Russian military expert sources, from the soldiers and officers who is on the front line, from the press and so on. And if I update this map, now we're going to show you the real area of Russian control, fire, physical control, and so on. So this is the area that is under Russian control according to the Russian sources near Bakhmut. So as you can see, the Russians managed to enter this town, Bakhmut, from three sides. From town Podgorodny, this small village. From, as we discussed, from this plant, there are like industrial zone, there is a champagne plant and other plants. And also they entered this town from this small block on the little bit like on the north from their main industrial zone. So the Russians, there are fightings in the town. So we can say that the active phase of storming of this town has started. Now the important updates are coming from Charlie Group. If you remember Charlie Group, this is the Ukrainian forces that located on the line between Solidar, Yakovlivka, Veselaya, Belogorovka, Nagornaya, Berestovaya. As we discussed many times in the previous video, the Russians has already established control over Sporna and Berestovaya. At least this information is confirmed by the Russians, and if we take a look at the Russian sources map, we're gonna see that these towns is under Russian control, Berestovaya and Sporna. And today the Russians announced that the Ukrainians left Nagornaya, this area. If we take a look at the West sources map, to be more precise, the Ukrainians left these edge fortifications. It's not a very big village, it's just a few towns, few buildings, maybe some kind of farm, but anyway, these front line were cracked and the Ukrainians were forced to leave. It's not very big progress, but anyway, they were forced to leave, and now the Russians are pushing towards from Berestova towards Belogorovka, and of course from Berestova they're trying to crack Ivanodarivka, Vyimka, so they're attacking all along the front line. If we are talking about Sever, Serebrenka, there is no changes. The only thing that the Russians are pushing in Verkhnyokamyansk very slowly. I understand that they're not planning to develop very fast this offensive operation, but anyway. Now the important updates are coming from the north, from Izum bridgehead, from this area, from this back that we were talking about, used to talk a lot. The Russians, we know that they're attacking Gusarovka, and today we got report that the Russians attacked Zaliman and that they destroyed warehouse in this area. If you take a look at the West Sources map, this is the back we are talking about on the north from forest, from Izum, from northwest from the Izum, on the south from Kherson, this one. So they destroyed some headquarters of tank force, tank brigade, and they destroyed warehouse. Furthermore, they are still developing some offensive operations toward Gusarovka. So as you can see, maybe the Russians are planning to do something, but they still don't have enough of manpower. So maybe they're just trying to fix and to hold the Ukrainians in this area and not to allow them to regroup and to reinforce the forces in Slaviansk-Kramatorsk. Now let's talk about one of the most important updates that we got today, and we are going to talk about the south from Bakhmut, from this area. As you can see, the west source map has been updated. Now they are showing that Gladasovo Travnik was under Russian control. A few days ago, we got a report that the Russians started their offensive operation from Gorlovka towards Zaitsevo in this area. If you take a look at the Russian sources map in this area, we got a report that during the previous 24 hours, the Russians attacked the warehouse in this area and they attacked the 58th Brigade. As I told you in the beginning of this video, this brigade lost up to 40 soldiers and something around 5 armed vehicles. So the Russians are trying to crack this area, and somewhere at noontime we got report that the Russians started offensive operation towards Toretsk and New York agglomeration. So the Russians are storming New York and are storming Toretsk, so the south. So let's update this map, and according to the information we have, this area between Dacha, Zaitsevo, this one is in the gray zone. I marked this area with the blue cloud, but this is the gray zone where the heavy clashes are. And now the Russians are trying to crack this nut. As you can see, this is a very big agglomeration. There are a lot of towns like Toretsk, and if you're talking about the old title of this town was called Дзержинsk. There is New York, it used to be Novgorodnya, Щербиновка, Pavdionne, Pavnochne, Zalizne, these towns. There are a lot of towns, it's a very big agglomeration. But this is not the problem that it's the big agglomeration, and it means that there are going to be very heavy clashes or storm operation. Also, these towns is located right on the front line, so that means that this area was fortified by the Ukrainians during the previous 8 years. So this is also a very powerful fortification like Avdiivka or Peski or Marinka, and this is also not the biggest problem. The biggest problem, if you take a look at this map of Google Earth map, you're gonna see, let's take a look at this town, this Toretsk. There are a lot of landfills. As you can see, a lot of perfect positions where the Ukrainians are able to control the Russians. The Russians control these hills. These landfills is under Russian control. But this one, and that moves on the northwest part, this one is under Ukrainian control. So it's not very easy to storm this town, but anyway the Russians started. Maybe their main idea, and I suppose that it is exactly as will explain you, the main idea of the Russians to fix the forces in Toretsk, and by that they will be able to crack Zaitsevo and to get Kurdyumovka, as we discussed in my previous video. So this is the main idea. So the Russians start their offensive operation. If we take a look at the West sources map, they're just marked like an icon that they started something, but this icon were put on this map softly. I don't think that this is the real area where the Russians start their offensive operation for many reasons, because this icon is located on the river right in front of this landfill. So I don't think that the Russians are storming this town right in front. But anyway, I think that the main idea of the Russians in this area is to attack this small cross, this railroad station, because as you can see, it's a very important logistics center. There are a lot of roads, and this center connects Zaitsevo, Kurdyumovka, and New York agglomeration. So the Russians want to take this nut, to crack this nut, and to establish their bridgehead in this area. This will allow them to cut these two sides into different pieces. And with that, the Russians will be able to develop their offensive operation towards Zaitsevo, and maybe soon we are going to see some cauldron in this area. Furthermore, but some sources are saying that the Russians still storming New York because they got very close to this town. So they maybe also are trying to crack New York from the west, from the east, and from the south because they are very close to this area. But also, I'll repeat myself, I suppose that this is also a fake operation. That means that they're just trying to fix and to halt and slow down the Ukrainians in this area. But the main goal is from Gorlovka towards this station, because one more time on this map, I'm talking about this station. As you can see, right in front of this station, this landfill. That landfill belongs to, not belongs, but under Russian control. And as you can see, there is trenches on this landfill. You see that this field is full of trenches. So the Russians have their position there, and it's very easy and nice position to control the Ukrainians from this on this station, logistics center, and from Zaitsevo. So I suppose that the Russians are using this landfill, this one, Tirikon, to fix the Ukrainians, not to allow them to move some reinforcements over this area. Furthermore, with rockets attack, they destroyed a lot of forces on the north and the warehouses. And furthermore, I suppose that they stopped and slowed down the Ukrainians on the east side of Toretsk, of New York agglomeration. So I suppose that this is exactly the area where the Russians are trying to crack. Furthermore, this is very looks like their famous tactic to split the area into parts. So with this attack, they will be able to develop their offensive operation towards Kurdyumovka. And as we discussed, Kurdyumovka is the most important town, place in this area, control which gives you not just control over some period, but area, but by taking Kurdyumovka, you are able to control an entire area around this town, and there are 4 big agglomeration around this town. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds you that we condemn any violence in Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.